Hey Reddit. I didn't know who else to write this to without getting laughed off as some 8th grader trying to be edgy. So as my last hope, I'm just asking you to hear me out. I need serious help. About 5 months ago, I went to a party. It was the end of my freshman year of college, and I hadn't been to any real Project X type stuff. So when people in my dorm said I could go with them to a party in an apartment south of campus, I was pretty eager. So we got to the apartment, and it was just like you'd expect. Loud music, no lights, and red Solo cups, full of every kind of concoction known to college students with fake IDs. My group brought their own booze. I guess this is common enough in college parties. And I started with some vodka. It was generic stuff and tasted like piss. But it was enough to get me brave enough to start dancing with a random girl there. After about 4 drinks, I was nowhere near making good choices. The girl I was dancing with started grinding on me, and the next thing I know, I was taking her out to the car. My group had left our keys inside. No one was fit to drive, but someone must have left it unlocked, because we got in without any trouble. I remember having sex with the girl. She wasn't my first, and I had a distant girlfriend at the time, so I don't think I enjoyed it much. The strange thing is, everything before and after that is kind of hazy in my mind. I remember being in the car with her and doing the deed, but not much else. The sex is crystal clear though. It was the most basic sex possible, nothing kinky or new. The next day, I woke up in my dorm. I have no clue how I got there, but I vaguely remember climbing in through a window, even though I had keys to get in through the door. It had to have been a dream, though. My room was on the 3rd floor. The other thing that struck me as weird was that I had overslept. It was now 10:14 the next night, and the sun had already set. My first thought was that I was a bit of a lightweight, and I'd been sleeping off my big night all day. Then I stood up to go to the bathroom. Immediately I felt nauseous, not the kind you feel after bad sushi, but the more like after a surgery when you're full of anesthesia. It's not an I feel sick moment, more of an I'm going to die. I stumbled over towards the bathroom in my room, already feeling my mouth filling up with drool. My gums felt like a fish tank as I stood over the sink and vomited up blood. At least that's what it looked like. Nothing else could have been that thick or dark. As soon as I stopped, I passed out again. I woke up and checked the clock. It was 2:48 a.m. I vomited more of the red stuff again and again. This happened twice more throughout the night before I finally passed out and woke up again at 10 the next night. Fortunately, it was exam week, so I was pretty close to being done anyway. I didn't even have classes the next day. I got up off the bathroom and expected to find a bloody mess all around me. But there was nothing there. I went out into my room, and my roommate wasn't there. I guess he'd gone home for the weekend. I decided to study since I was up, but the whole time I couldn't think of anything else but vomiting blood. That couldn't have been normal, but since I felt alright, I didn't do anything. That was my first mistake. Exam week passed without any issue. All my exams happened late in the evening, which worked out with my new, weird sleep schedule. I had started sleeping all day, and every night it seemed I was waking up later. It was odd because I could tell something wasn't right. Anything from the party should have been slept off by now. At the same time, though, I felt totally healthy. I couldn't keep any food down, and I couldn't drink anything, but I strangely felt full. I aced my exams and went home for the summer. I was really looking forward to starting my new job, a night shift position at the local nursing home. For a pre-med guy, this was probably the best I could get in my tiny little town. I lived alone with my mom, and my sleep schedule didn't throw her off at all. She understood. I had to sleep all day to be ready for my shift at 8 p.m. It was at the nursing home that I knew I had a problem. The place was perfect for honing caretaking skills, which led to me having lots of contact with the residents. One night, I had to take a blood sample from an older woman. She was showing signs of some kind of sickness, and the doctors thought blood tests were the best way to identify it. As I drew the blood, I noticed that she seemed extremely calm for someone with a needle in her arm, and I noticed that I felt different too. The blood was like wine. I could smell it even through the airtight syringe, and I knew I had to have it in me. I still don't know why I did it. I hadn't been able to eat anything else since I got back from college, and nothing sounded better than the red stuff I held in a syringe in my hand. Instead of sending the sample to the lab, I pulled up the sleeve of my scrubs and injected the blood into my arm. It sounds crazy. This lady could have been full of diseases, but immediately after doing it, I felt awake and alert, like I was really alive. I haven't felt like that since exam week. I told the little old lady that I just need a little more blood, and she complied. I sent this sample into the lab. For the next 3 months, I carried on just like this. When no one was around late at night, I'd wake up residents and tell them I needed a blood sample. Standard procedures to keep them healthy, I tell them, and as soon as they were back to sleep, I'd just be shooting it up my arm. I wasn't even getting marks or strawberry fields, they just healed right up. In late July, it started getting really bad. If I didn't shoot up with blood every night, I'd start feeling pain, not like a thirst or a hunger, more like the feeling you get when you fall hard on your stomach and get the wind knocked out of you. Ever since then, I take double the blood from the elderly residents. Most of them didn't mind. It's hard to admit it, but there were a few that said they wanted to talk to a doctor about the blood test instead. Those I took care of with a little extra morphine in the system. Actually, a lot of it. It didn't matter that most of them died from it. No death is easier to write off than some old fart in a nursing home. But now, it's almost September, and this can't carry on. I'm going back to school and I need a new way to get my fill of blood. I don't even know why I need it now. I don't know what's wrong with me. All I know is that I can't eat. I sleep all day. And the only thing that gets me by is injecting stolen blood into my arm. The only way I can explain all of this is I got some kind of STD from the girl I had sex with that night at school. I was fine until then. And until I threw up all that blood, I seemed perfectly normal. I'm not going to live forever. I'm not pale-skinned, and I sure as hell don't sparkle in the sunlight on rare occasions I go out into it. But the only explanation I have for my insanely messed up existence is that I'm a vampire. I'm not just some creep that belongs on my strange addiction. I'm a person. I'm a person with an insatiable need for blood. And I can't keep living like this. Once I go back to school, I have to find some kind of cure. No sleep. What do I do?